Welcome to the one and only Greater Republic show. I am Joanna Kainnings. Let's start with Canada. Canada, the only country in the world where sweeping ice is considered a national sport. I mean, let's face it, when you suck at so many things, you might just grab a broom and aggressively sweep your way to victory. Moving over to the good old United States of America, a country that's always eager to spread some freedom around the world, one country at a time. You have to admire their enthusiasm, even if their methods are a little questionable. It's like they're the over-enthusiastic friend who insists on organising everyone's life for them, whether they like it or not. Now let's talk about Mexico, a country where the drug cartels have better weapons than the military, and where the biggest export more than drugs is future Americanos. But don't worry, they also have tequila and sombreros to help them forget their problems. Next, we have Panama, the country that is literally the banana split of the banana republics. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what we can do in South America, where the people are passionate, the food is delicious, and the politics are, let's just say, interesting. Let's start with Colombia, the country that gave us Shakira, coffee, and Netflix's love for cocaine-fueled narcos. Now let's talk about Brazil, the land of samba, soccer, and the inventor of the world's weirdest hairstyle. I mean, have you seen the Brazilian blowout? It's like someone took a bunch of electric eels and glued them to your head. But after all, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, even if that beauty happens to look like a very confused poodle. Next up we have Chile, or as Argentina calls it, its skinny sister that got hired by the French fashion shows to promote anorexia. And now on to the next country, to Argentina, or as Nazis in 1944 would call, New Homeland. Let's move across the Atlantic to Europe, or as Americans would call, where? First up, we have the United Kingdom, the country that has got more old stuff than a hoarder's garage sale. And if your country's missing any valuable antique, chances are the British monarchy has it on its mantelpiece. Let us check out Ireland, the neglected child of Brexit, which doesn't know which parent to choose after a divorce. Moving over to the mainland Europe, we start with Sweden. Sweden, the land of meatballs, IKEA, and a population that always seems to have a smile on their face. Because deep down they know, things can always be worse. They could be Danish. The Netherlands, the land of cheese and windmills. You know a country has run out of things to do when their biggest tourist attraction is a giant tulip field. But hey, they also legalised weed to pretend they are cool. Let's shift our focus to Belgium, the baby that the Dutch and the French abandoned as a bait for the Germans. Next up, we have France, a country where the people are snooty and the hygiene is questionable. But hey, at least they have the best perfumes to keep all that smell away. Coming up next is Spain, the land of siestas and fiestas, where the people nap all day and party all night, where work from home is basically a hammock with wine. And now let's delve into Germany. Germany, a country where everything is engineered perfectly by drunks that sound angry. Also home of the language where even I love you sounds like a death threat. We now turn our attention to Switzerland, the conspiracy theorist of Europe that is way too prepared for the apocalypse. Italy, the country that is either high on caffeine, dead in a car accident, or in jail for bribery. Austria, the country with the highest number of art school graduates since 1945. And now to Poland, every European country's stepping stone since 1939. Or as Germans will call Autobahn to Russia. Our next stop is Russia, a country where the people are tough, the winters are brutal, and the vodka flows like water, just like their country border. Let us not forget Albania, or as from the shape of it what many will call leftover condom. Moving over to Turkey, the country that's always trying to find its place in the neighbourhood. It's like the awkward kid in school who keeps trying to fit in with different circles but never quite gets it right. Let's jump over the Mediterranean Sea to the African continent, starting with Morocco. You may know it as the land across the narrow sea, abandoned by the mother of dragon for Jon Snow. And now on to the next country, we have Nigeria. Nigeria. The country that's like a box of Kinder Surprise. You never know what you're going to get. Will it be the prince trying to escape the brutality of his family, or an astronaut stuck on moon? The possibilities are endless. But let's move over to South Africa, a country with a rich cultural heritage, stunning natural beauty, and a history that's more complicated than a Kardashian family tree. And now on to the next country, Egypt. Egypt, the country whose greatest invention since the pyramids is camel-powered Uber service. Let's shift our focus to Israel's, the country that is still learning how maps work. Jumping over to Saudi Arabia, where the only thing more precious than their oil reserves are their royal family's collection of golden toilets. I mean, why use a regular porcelain throne when you can have one made of pure gold? Now let us talk about Pakistan, a country where cricket and corruption go together like chai and biscuits. And if you're lucky enough to survive the chaotic streets where rickshaws run wild, you might just find yourself in a he said, she said situation with a politician trying to bribe you. Across the border we have India, where the only thing more dangerous than their street food is their matchmaking aunties. You could be minding your own business, enjoying a delicious street samosa, and the next thing you know, you're being set up with the neighbourhood dentist's son who still lives with his parents. It's a land of surprises. Let's talk about China, the country that has more control over your life than your own parents, including your thoughts, your dreams, and your Tinder profile. Let's not forget the tiny nation of Taiwan, or as China calls it, Maiwan. We move over to Indonesia, the land of traffic jams so long you can finish a book, write a novel, and adapt it into a movie before you reach your destination. And if the traffic doesn't kill you, the sinking cities and apocalyptic climate surely will. It's like living in a post-apocalyptic waterworld, but without Kevin Costner. Next we have Japan, a country where robots are more polite than humans. And if you're in the mood for some used underwear, well, there's a vending machine for that in every corner. But don't worry, they also gave us Godzilla, the monster born out of their love for World War II. Because when you're feeling vengeful, nothing quite hits the spot like a giant radioactive lizard. We now turn our attention to Kangaroo Land. We have Australia. The land down under, where the toilets flush the wrong way and the animals will kill you. Seriously though, have you seen some of the creatures that live in Australia? It's like Mother Nature was playing a game of how many venomous things can I fit on one continent? And lastly, let us not forget about New Zealand. Or wait, sorry, I meant Australia. Let's face it, they're practically the same thing, right? Go ahead and count your sheep, New Zealand. And while you're at it, try not to confuse them for your citizens, because with a population that small, it's easy to get them mixed up. And that, my friends, wraps up the journey around the world covering some of the countries. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and slam that bell icon like it's a piñata, so you don't miss out on the next episode where I will cover more countries. Oh, and by the way, I would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below with your favourite joke about your country. Thanks for tuning in. I am Joanna Kainnings, and I'll catch you next time on the one and only Greater Republic Show.